I'm supposed to be in another town.
Due to our town of Prince Anne legislative meeting for Monday, May 6th, 2024, at 6:30 p.m. here at Golden Haven Youth Center. Appreciate everyone coming out tonight. First order of business will go with our pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. It doesn't advance one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Everyone would please join me in a moment of silence. Appreciate that. And we'll now move on to motion to accept the agenda. Second. All in favor? Motion second approved. We'll now entertain a motion to accept the April minutes. Did all have a copy there? Second. Motion have a second. All in favor? Let's make sure we remember to sign this document this evening, folks. And we'll now go to our report on Somerset Landing, phase 1. I'm going to pass this over to Paul to start out for us. Need some help holding anything up.
I think everybody's was here for the meeting. Back up and watch. Josh Taylor was here and talked about the project to help clear up the storm water at Somerset Landing. You can probably a little hard to see this, but phase 1 of the project was to open up the major swales that are behind the houses all the way through the subdivision. And then, a phase 2 of the project would be to open up the culverts. And I think a phase 3 was to perhaps regrade the ditches. Those are all pretty engineered, but what I'm here to talk about is Cindy Perry and whoever Cindy can enlist to help her needs to go around the subdivision and get easements from everybody. Put a book together here of the easements. There's about 150 houses or that need to grant easements. This is an example of the easement document. And the idea in talking with Josh Taylor is that the easement needs to be a permanent easement at the rear of the lots, 15 feet each way from the center line between the lot owners. And that would be a permanent easement that would be there to be of sufficient depth to allow the water to flow out of the subdivision. And what Josh felt was also necessary is in addition to that 15 on this lot and 15 on the lot behind it. Also to have 10 feet of temporary construction easement. So it would be 25 feet on each side, because when you come in to clean out, he said the equipment require that much operating room. So that 10 feet would only be for the project and for any future cleaning out of the project. So it would give the towns the ability to come in, do the clearing of these ditch areas, and come back whenever it was needed. And the idea after that's done is that the no trees, no shrubs, only grass would be in the area. So that in the future, you could come in, say with a bush hog, and just like you see on roadsides, you could keep that cut down. And it would be subject to the ability of the town to get grants. And if they can't get grants, then it would be subject to a special assessment district being created where the cost would be allocated among the subdivision owners. So that's the document that Cindy and whoever else will help Cindy will be taking out to all the owners to get signed. And once it's signed, it'll be reported in the courthouse. And that would be the document that would allow the work to happen. Not just this round of it, but in the future too. So does anybody have questions about the document?
Yeah, question I have is, my name's James Goldberg. The question I have is simply the fact that, but if currently there is, trees or shrubs or whatever in that, easement that is required by the town.
Right.
Who's gonna be responsible for removing that, or how's that gonna work?
Well, right, that's phase one of the project. And if the grant money is available, then the engineer would supervise a private contractor coming in and removing the trees, the brush, take it down. I'm told that there's a lot of obstructions in these areas, so that blocks the water. And the engineer feels that will help the water flow. It's not the final answer,
Right.
but it'll help it a lot.
Yeah, that's understood. I just need some clarification about. Cause I just planted some trees.
In that
And I'm
area,
not sure, I gotta go out and measure the distance from the culvert to see, I may be good. So, yeah. If it's, you're gonna say you're gonna need a total of 25 feet total.
it's a total of 25, so they can operate
Right.
equipment in there. I'm picturing that after these ditches are open, they probably need to get a tractor with one of those side
Right.
bush hogs to go up and down
Outside, yeah.
in there, just like you do on the road, cutting the ditches.
So total of 25 foot, so center line of the easement, 12 and a half, 13 feet either way, whatever, right? What is the plan for any structures that are over that line as far as like fences?
If there's structures there, they would need to come forward so that the equipment could come through. That's my understanding.
Okay, so as
What Josh told me was they would try to work, side to side, work around, but
okay,
they think they need that 25 to be.
yeah, sure. I mean, I know when I put my fence up, I paid attention to the offsets and easements. I can tell you there's people in there that did not. I don't know if these folks are here tonight or not, but they're gonna be super surprised when you show up and tell them they gotta move their fence, right?
Yeah,
You're gonna get them to sign a permanent easement. And we don't know if we have the grants yet, and if we don't get the grants, then there'll be an assessment per homeowner.
that's what the commissioners could do to
Undetermined.
make the the project go.
Right. Okay, so we wanna get people to sign an easement, permanent easement.
Permanent easement for 15. And 10 more, so when they're in there doing maintenance work.
Right, but the easement, the permanent easement signature goes hand in glove with the fact that they may then be responsible financially for the project on the back end.
Possible, I mean, all of that is to be determined.
Right.
Yeah.
But you need the signature first.
Yeah.
You just said 12.5 feet.
Well,
We're talking 25 feet into our backyard.
no, it's from the center line of the ditch, it's 12.5, or 12.5, 13, however you want to say it.
15,
And then in addition,
10
so we're talking
Oh,
25 feet.
25 feet.
total of 25 from the center.
Yeah.
Of the ditch.
25 feet
center, right,
Yeah, you're gonna have some problems. That's there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's 50 feet total from the center, like 50 foot.
It would be, yeah, a possible total of 50 on both, if you add up both property owners back to back. Wow.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. I just, you're asking Cindy to, or whoever helps Cindy to go deliver this message to get the signature. I'm just saying. It seems like it's a bigger ask than what it originally was, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, it was gonna be 15. Yeah. But I think when Josh looked at this is Josh Taylor, when he looked at the size of the ditches, say, top of the bank, to top of the bank, a little bit more, he felt they needed to go down 10 foot more so the equipment could go down.
I hear you.
That,
Yeah.
I'm going with what his is.
No, I'm just saying, like, if you get these folks to sign this, and then the grants fall through. And then we come back and say, okay, well, now you're personally each responsible for 1,500, 2,500, whatever. Per person, and it's because you signed this easement 6 months ago, this easement agreement 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Those are two different things. Those are
If
two
the council doesn't do a special assessment district, then the project's not going forward.
But that's separate from the easement. The assessment, the tax assessment would be.
That's an ordinance.
He needs a signature now.
We're trying to get the easements now
Yeah, I know.
and then grants. And then if there's extra, it would take an ordinance from the commissioners. Create the
If
special.
you're signing the easement to a payment that could be possible later, you're gonna have a lot of problems getting people to sign.
Agreed. No,
No, my understanding is, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that,
Here you go.
I think what you're saying is that we first need to sign over the easement so that any work can be done, period. It's not tied to like whether it's grants or special assessment. A special assessment will come in if needed after the fact, if there are no grants that can cover
But
it.
you're signing for both now,
yeah,
Yeah.
right.
according to the verbiage on that.
But you're gonna have to sign an easement.
Yeah.
to get anybody on the property Anyway,
We're talking about the payment though, in addition to that,
Yeah.
easement's not an issue.
Okay.
The payment that goes along with the
Right.
easement is the issue.
Right. I mean, this is a step.
Right.
I see it as 3 steps here: easement, grant. Special assessment possibly.
And this is an easement that exceeds the original easement that was written on your tax. All right.
one other point of issue. As opposed to having Sydney or a bunch of people going door to door, wouldn't it be more efficient for the town to mail out these easement requests to the individual homeowners that are affected?
The thing with that is that the signatures have to be notarized. So, I mean, it's a technique, mailing it out, but I think some of them would just be signed and mailed back, and we can't record them in the courthouse if they're not notarized.
So only persons that hold notary would be able to notarize a signature when they're obtained going door to door, correct?
Right, I've encouraged Cindy to obtain her notary.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Well, that's,
well,
Is it?
I would just. And interfere here that we're gonna have to go at this with several different directions to be able to get the signature. It's not gonna be all left up to one person. Cindy, it's gonna be, so we can work out some of those details about how they can be distributed and how they need to be turned back in with the notary. One of the things that she could do
Is there a notary in the town office?
we're working on that as well. So we
Okay.
got our notary that we did have is no longer employed, so we've got to get
See,
some.
another thought would be somebody could come to the town office.
So we've got some of those things to work out. You mentioned something about the easement that was originally on your property. That's the sanitary district easement, correct? For the sanitary,
I would assume so,
right?
yeah,
And is that 15 foot?
I think it is 15,
Yeah, it was 15 and 15, total of 30.
correct.
And
Yes.
I want to get some clarity too from what Paul heard and I heard, and of course, I'm gonna probably say the lawyer heard correctly because he's the lawyer. But when discussing that part about the 10 extra foot temporary, that was, I thought that would be temporary only for the initial
Right,
work. It wouldn't stay there as a temporary easement forever,
yeah, this sounds like a permanent easement.
Well,
because then it's a permanent, easement, right? The initial cleanup was gonna be pretty extensive and felt like not knowing until we get someone with the right eyes to look at it, but how much equipment would have to be brought into there. But during that period, it would be the extra 10 feet. Although during that period, if there's a fence there, or if there's a shed there in that 10 feet, then it would have to be addressed. You know,
I would
try to get
encourage-
around, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would encourage you guys, I know you're very busy, I know everybody's got schedules, but. Strongly encourage you to go back there and just look at some of these ditches and look at. Where some of these structures, fences, pools.
Yeah.
All this stuff that's well within that 50 feet. That's gonna be a,
And Paul, I think that's something that we're also going to talk about.
we could double check with Josh.
Yeah.
It's all about having a space enough for the.
I hear you.
To
I
do
get
his
it.
job.
Yeah, I'm just saying, it's, yeah, I'm not trying to shoot the messenger, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a pretty.
No,
big ask.
you're absolutely right. I mean, if it's a permanent 25 foot, that's pretty much in there.
Structure, yard fences, things like that.
One of the questions would be, say, here's the ditch. So what's the distance from top of ditch to top of ditch? So how much more
Right,
do you have and how much do you need?
right. And to your point, we're trying to coordinate now for some on ground, boots on the ground, walking around and looking and discussing that with the parties that need to be there. I mean, everybody,
And I mean, I've given you my number before and I'll make myself.
your name is definitely thought about because I think it would be great coming from your side of it as well, and not only your experience and knowledge, but you're living there, right?
Yeah.
So those are something we're trying to coordinate now through Josh and you guys and us, so
Yeah.
we can get out there and do it.
We're just trying to find a path to get the project finished.
I hear you.
But these are good questions that we can try to address as we're coming, because if there is places out there. And we can get eyes on it to say, okay, well, there's nothing on the other side, so we can work from the other side and get both sides, it's not gonna disturb that, it's still outside, and if it's inside that 15. It's already out of compliance because there's a 15 foot there already for the sanitary, we're just.
And they purchased the property with that being the.
That's
agreement,
correct,
so-
that's right. So at that point, it's, we gotta go.
The temporary though, still. Temporary easement, you still have to remove structures. So
Yeah.
everybody should know that,
Yeah.
like, you're gonna incur a cost for a temporary construction.
Yeah, it's gotta be a clear area.
Yeah.
So that's a tough one to swallow.
Okay.
You have an anticipated start date.
Not at this time that I know.
So we,
Are we looking at more than 60 days out
I'm gonna say
for
yes.
sure?
we're having, we can start.
Just getting the easement. Who knows how that goes.
I have pollinator gardens who are coming to my house at the end of June. I don't need half of my backyard ripped up.
I don't think anything's gonna happen.
Thank you.
But if it was gonna happen that fast, I'm sure you got neighbors that wouldn't want us to stop because of that. At this point, we were getting that close. But
I had one other question.
Yeah.
Are there any contingencies in place just in case somebody may say no?
Yeah, well, that's a possibility. Somebody says no. If that ditch is really filled up at that spot, then obviously that's a blockage. To the ultimate goal is to have these ditches flowing toward the east, the creek.
one of the points that came up in this discussion was that if we just concentrated on the initial homes that would be affected by the initial work. And we got all them to sign it, we did that work, but then we ran into people that wouldn't sign it or could stall it elsewhere. That everything else would be halted and not be able to be done, so we're in the kind of feeling like that we need to get all of the property owners understanding that throughout the process of getting this all corrected, there may be an easement we have to have on your property, so. It's gonna be a little more entailed to just go and get the ones that actually see some work done right away, is that right, Paul? There's county experts owned by the county, I think they've shown some interest in helping, but, we don't know what that looks like right now either, and they would need the easements as well, so, state and county, I guess, trying to get it worked to the.
So at this point, you're considering every single ditch in the
Right. Actually establish a total stormwater drainage system for the whole subdivision.
Wait a minute, are you asking for easements on the swales between the properties and the road front ditches too?
The, yeah, the ditch, the easements that we have prepared are on the rear line.
Right, okay.
They're around the edge of the subdivision. There's a few properties that have swales or pipes that go out to the county
Right.
ditches. And those would be, I think, 6 or 8 of those properties, and that would be down the sideline, not the rear line.
So how about properties on the east side of the neighborhood? Where swales lead to Wesley Branch?
Well, that's what I'm talking about. If, say, from the main subdivision, then there's the 2 main roads inside the subdivision. That line of properties that go all the way around the edge. There would be need for easements from the road out to, say, Wesley Ranch.
Some of those are already pretty wide.
Could be, I haven't been out to look myself, it could be.
Well, this is kind of shocking, so it would be nice if that was figured out.
Well,
Before the announcements are made.
I'm not sure any of them are working properly as is. Is that right?
What, ditches?
Right.
I mean, there are more not working properly than there are working properly.
Then
Okay, the issue is even though if you have a small segment of the development that is working properly, it backs into something that's definitely not working properly.
Sure, yeah.
And then everything else becomes a mess. We've been working on this project for 2 years, and as you know, I mean, I've been walking the neighborhood and advocating, and this is not something that I brought up initially, this is what residents who had totally devastated property with drainage issues came to me and said, is there anything we can do? So we've been working diligently for 2 years, and the town has been very generous in saying, okay, you know, this is gonna be a very expensive project, but we're willing to undertake it. But that doesn't mean that we as residents of that community can dump everything on the town and say, great, you said you're gonna do it, now we don't have to take any responsibility. Because somewhere along the way, we've done something inadvertently that has aided in this backup of water drainage. That is not making things flow properly, and just the deterioration of trees or something being planted when it should have been shouldn't have been planted years ago, which are now huge structures and nothing's gonna flow by them, you know how that works. So keep it in context, you know how badly your property flood when it rains, and sometimes it doesn't even take a torrential rain, it just takes several days of raining, and then nothing drains anywhere, you end up with a lake in your front yard or your backyard, and we have one resident who totally lost 3/4 of their backyard. So think of it that way. Our property values will improve. The appearance of the development will improve. You have homeowners who come around and to look at, to buy a home, are they gonna buy a home where they're seeing 1.5 foot of water drainage in the front ditch and weeds and everything growing up out of it, you can't even mow it or whatever? This is our opportunity to get this done. I know it's gonna be expensive. I know the town may not get all the grant money they need, and we may need to do a separate tax base or tax something for just our development. But every resident will be charged the same amount. It's not like we're gonna charge only the residents where we had to dig out the, the in between the property. Everybody's going to be charged the same. So in essence, you have to decide, because if just one homeowner refuses to sign, the project's dead. So it's up to you. I don't have a problem walking door to door. I don't have a problem doing what I can do for my community, but you have to want it. You really have to want it. Because it's gonna be work and it's gonna be a mess for a while, because bulldozers coming in and taking out all that debris and everything between the properties. It's not gonna be pretty. It's gonna create havoc and you're gonna have to put up with it. But is it any worse than seeing how badly everything floods and how badly your property looks when there's 2 feet of water in the front ditch or the back of your property? So we need to put it in context, and we have to understand too, even though they're asking you to sign these easements, you still own the land. They're not taking the land away from you. They're just telling you that in order to keep it properly maintained, you just can't build or put a tree or something on that piece of property. So that if you don't want to undo what they're going to do. So I'll be walking around, hopefully getting signatures, and all I can do is, hope everybody agrees to sign. We'll do what we can do.
Cindy. For the easements, you can't sign it in front of Cindy unless Cindy's a notary.
Well, or I have a notary with me.
Yes.
Yes, I have to have someone with me, or I have to be a notary, or the individual would have to come to the town and sign the form in front of a notary. That it must be signed in front of a certified notary, not just someone who says they're not a notary, because they need a seal. There's gonna have to be a seal that's on that document.
So I have a question. It's a related issue. Like I've been coming to these meetings since last winter, and not once has anyone ever talked about impacts to Wesley Grange. Like there's going to be an increased flow, and already the streets are eroding, and some people are experiencing tree loss from both sides of the creek. And on the other side of the creek is a historic cemetery. So I called Josh twice and I emailed him twice. I got no response. And I talked to him outside of the meeting. I guess it was in December, January, and he said, "Yeah, I'll have someone get in touch with you." No one has. So, what's up with that?
Yeah, well, I know that Wesley is on the county. So the engineers are supposed to be talking with the county about Wesley and what to do there. So that's what I know about that.
Well, if you all are in touch with them, let's say something, because my message isn't getting through.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, for sure.
Fair enough. Yeah. Okay.
we appreciate the input, and there's some good points brought up there, so we need to make sure that. When we start going around, and it's an easy opportunity that if someone's willing to sign it, that they can easily get that signed and notarized right then, or an easy avenue to do that. And try not to make it where someone's got to go back 2 or 3 times and try to figure out, we'll work through a process that's as easy as possible. We're not gonna play it all on Sunday to do. We're gonna figure out some other options there and ways to get that word out. We have to mail them out, copies of them out, that kind of thing, or at least some sort of information saying that this is needed and how they can contact to find that or something. I think we can do something along that line. Any comments from our commissioners?
But this has been a long time coming, but even, I mean, our neighbors been like this for what, 20 years or better. You know, as far as the drainage stuff going, I mean, I've been talking on it for a long time. So we finally got the ball rolling, hopefully we can keep it rolling. So we can get, so we get people's yards right. You know, we get the drainage like it's supposed to be. Hopefully everybody will go ahead and sign. So we can get, get this project done.
Well, and just like you said, it's just gonna take everybody coming together. Cindy said this, it's gonna take everybody coming together. It's not an easy sell that people think that you're taking over their property and you're not gonna be able to do with it. But I think as we start to learn how the process will work and what'll happen, I think people will understand that there is a lot of positive that can come out of this. I look at it as we built the house, now we're gonna build a foundation. So it's kind of like you're coming in after the fact and trying to get it all right when you've got all everything else in place. So it's a little bit of a challenge there, but we're gonna keep pushing forward. I know Valerie, who does a lot of our grant work, as well as Josh with the grant work that he does, and Jay, our new town manager, has been also looking at avenues, working with Tracy, so that we can go after, and there's rounds of grants every year. So there's our main thing for the grant and what it's going to cost is that we can't do the work now and just walk away from it. We've got to have a plan to make sure that it's going to stay like that in the future. So just getting all the trees and ditches cleaned out, getting all the water flowing, and then step back and not do anything for another 10, 15 years. We're right back in the same mess. So we want to just be sure that once we get it right, that we can also maintain and keep it right. And I don't know a lot about the special assessment, how that would work, but it's my understanding that it would be for a certain year, it'd be yearly or for several years, and then it could change back, it could change, up and down. And
It's a special assessment district. It's created by an ordinance
right.
of the town.
But how is that rate set for that? How is that rate set? Is it set and then
It depends on the cost of the project.
right? Okay, but in the future, could it go down if
Sure.
there's been, everything's been maintained right? I mean, we've got an opportunity, we don't set it at some.
You get a contract to mow the ditches, whatever that is, and if there's no grant, then that would be divided out by all the properties. That's the number.
So the initial hard work, the really big cost work of bringing all the equipment in, getting things like they're supposed to do is something that we're working hard to make sure we can cover as much of it with grants as possible, if not all of it. And so the assessment would come and making sure that it's all going to stay that way, and future pipes burst or pipes crack, whatever happens, it needs to be sediments built up, needs to be dug, come out and dug out, those types of things with the funds somewhere for that. So early stages of talking about a special tax assessment, we've still got a lot of grant work we're trying to work on. It's one of the first things we're asking on any grant, can it possibly go this way? If not, we don't draft the grant, and we want to see if we're finding grants that go in that direction. So anything else? All right. Appreciate everyone coming out for that. So we're now at a stage, we're gonna have our Citizens Merit Award and. I do apologize. We have the most important part. We have this Tina Fontaine, is it Dean?
It's.
Yes, ma'am. Come right on up. We have her here, have a little something here that we would like to present to you. We'll come around and do some pictures here in a minute, but this says, if I can try to run away and read it. Tina Fontaine Beanie, for outstanding service to the community, town of Princess Anne, presented May 6, 2024. And I've got a little information here. Yep, got a little information here. I just want to tell people a little bit about Miss Tina. She is originally from Eastern Shore and has family here. Your parents still live right here on Eastern Shore, right in Princess Anne area, right? And she's been across the bay for the past 25 years, doing a lot of wonderful. She's got a great career, but she's also doing a lot of work for her community on that side. But she never forgets Eastern Shore, forgets Princess Anne. She's over here. I understand you're here almost every weekend.
I was just here this weekend.
Okay, and I imagine that Mother's Day might be back this coming weekend, so appreciate you coming down those midweek here. But anyway, so I'll say you've got 2 adult sons, Brandon and Rodney, is that correct? And then you're a mama,
I
with 6 grandchildren, so that's awesome. I've got 7, so I got you by 1, but
I'll let you
anyway,
know.
well, look, it's a lot, but they all get together now, I'll tell you. So, but we certainly appreciate you've done things like collecting, distributing clothing, school supplies, things like that, anything involved in youth trying to improve, youth, giving them positive things to do and stuff. And,
I just want everybody from here to know that you can be from here and still make it, because a lot of the youth here think that, oh, you know, stuck here. I work down and to the lower from Chrisfield all the way up. And it's, if you find a youth, I just met McCoy Curtis in a parking lot because he does the Todd Park. And it's just that he works with young men of distinction. So I make sure that whenever they need field trips or whatever the case is, that you come through, you gotta invest in them, because if you don't, you're gonna have a problem. So you gotta keep them safe, healthy, and happy. So that's what I do. But I just want everybody to know that you can be from the Eastern Shore, you can believe it, you can still make it. So I'm gone, but I'm
and you
supporting,
can still come back and help out.
I'm supporting them.
Yeah, very good, very good.
Thank
Well,
you.
it certainly takes people like yourself, to do those things and come back and get back to your community. So I want to appreciate everything you've done. Picture with you if you don't mind. And,
Oh, I got it.
Gonna give him a ride back across the bridge when I leave.
There's a room.
Right there. Thank you.
oh, yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
So that's certainly always something nice to see that, some of the recognized people in the community that are doing special things, especially for our youth. A lot of that, I know, Commissioner Johnson, all of us really are really concerned about things to make sure the youth, have opportunities, in our town. Thank you again. All right, so now I'm gonna pass over to Jay, I believe, and now I guess between Jay and I, they're gonna give us a little update on our plans for the budget.
Absolutely. Town administration, which is now I plan to administer town manager circuit. Roger Joe and myself have been meeting weekly to discuss and prepare the town budget. Fiscal year 25 for municipal operating budget. Our timeline is to have the budget ready for introduction at the May 20th town meeting work session. After which the town commissioner, president, town commissioners can begin holding budgets work sessions with the intention to adopt the budget and forward it by June 17th meeting, if not sooner. That is our plan. I recently hired town manager Circuit Rider Joe, which is, I am honored to say he is joining us tonight, which has been phenomenal. Thank you, Joe. Over 40 years of municipal government experience. Wow, I wish I could. Hopefully I'm that sponge and absorbing some of that experience, deal with budgets and guiding us through the whole process. So, thank you. Yep, thank you, Joe.
Yeah, I'll have it all together by May 20th for the work session. I've already met with James, and I got the numbers individually on the two things, like the health rates and stuff like that, to add that. So, should be ready to go by the work session for y'all in here.
So on that first note, before we go any further, talking about budget, special budget work session. You guys would like for us, we'll probably need to hold one of those pretty soon after we present this, get a fancy like that. Well, I tell you what, I'm gonna wait and when we get down to our work session agenda items, we'll talk about a date for that, because right after the second meeting, right after, just for the budget. That's okay. All right, so we'll go now to our department head reports. I'm gonna start all the way at the far end there with Chief.
Good evening, everybody. During the month of April, I attended various town meetings, other meetings, investigators. Meeting, Lieutenant Smith has been, filling in and taking care of the recovery court staffing meetings. Sergeant Redding attended and participated in the K-9 Law and Order training, which is a national event that was held at the Frontier Town, I guess, area over there. They had the K-9 Law Order company that he was part of that. I attended a law enforcement coordination council meeting, was mandated by state law. For the month of April, Ferguson PD handled 737 calls for service. All but 3% of those are closed. We issued 86 traffic citations, 267 warnings, 32 safety equipment repair orders, and 1 DUI. We did have 5 burglaries, 1 robbery by statute. It wasn't armed robbery. I take it back. It was armed robbery by statute, but it wasn't the statute that makes us code that way. So that's how we had 1 reported rape, 12 thefts, 12 assaults. We did have 2 emergency petitions. We received 1. We recovered one firearm that was stolen, and investigated 7 motor vehicle collisions. Our local grant reports have been submitted again. We're working on getting the state quarterly grant report submitted. I've been working with town manager and I on getting them, and Joe as well, and getting that 1 federal grant we've got to the COP program. Getting everybody up to speed on that grant, and so we can do that on our own moving forward. And last thing I've got is our vehicle auction for the impounded vehicles will be on June 22nd. That's all I have. Thank you.
So thank you. Now let's go on then.
The finance department, I don't have much. I've mainly been working with the auditing company to make sure that we get 23 audits done. We plan to have it done by the end of April, but it's taking a little bit longer than expected due to some of the previous audit companies, errors, and finance personnel, but we're getting through it. We're hoping that will be done by the end of this month, as well as planning for next year's audit. Planning to start early, so we can get it finished it out the way early. The opera report, which handles all the funds that we got for COVID, that report was submitted last week. The remaining funds do need to be obligated by the end of this year, and I gave you all a handout about that. We probably end up needing to settle that down a little bit more. And I'm working on the new rental program that was presented before. trying to simplify it so that way we're not in as much as first thing the landlords can do their part and we can just collect. That's all I have.
Very good. James?
This is the public works report for April. Public works collected 80 tons of garbage for the month. We have Main Street put out the flower pots on the street corner and downtown that looks great. The department checked all park equipment to make sure everything is stable and secure. We launched all playground equipment here at DHYC with more marching to come for the other parks. Public works with the help of Mr. Stone replaced the broken light pole on Prince William Street. We have all our seasonal lawn care equipment up and running now, along with our other duties and responsibilities. And that's all I have.
Very good. And Jay, anything else to add to?
Just continues, we mentioned earlier, for preparing this, the town of Port Sands fiscal year 25 operating budget. We'll continue revamping the website and team building. That's our three priorities right now. Thank you.
All right, so now we'll go to work session agenda item. So obviously we have the budget's going to be presented to us that evening, and we'll have an opportunity to maybe get a little more insight and explanation of what's there.
Tax rate.
Tax rate, for the work session, that's correct. So that'll be one thing that we'll need to set is our tax rate, but we'll have a lot of information to go by.
Yeah.
Probably need some of that information sooner rather than later to make that decision. I mean, what's the deadline for that tax rate to be set?
Universal.
Okay,
I have to have it to have that.
okay. So, before we jump off of that item for the work session, so like they said, and in the past, if you have been on the budget before, we had at least one, maybe two, but at least one work session, special work session, we can advertise for it, announce it. Historically, as long as I've been a commissioner, we've tried to do one of those during the daytime when staff is already at the office and we can do it around that. So it can be morning, afternoon, whatever works for all the commissioners. We're gonna get this on the 20th. What would everybody would everybody be good with Thursday, the 23rd, 3 days after we get that? I'm still fresh and ready to get rolling. Would everybody be able to, accommodate a meeting on Thursday, the 23rd? And what time would you guys like? We want to do it after lunch, just to give everybody, how about Shelley, you're the one more probably tied into more of a strict schedule than some of us, other than Doug. Okay. So, Mr. Frederick?
Yeah, good.
So that would be 5:23, 1 p.m. at Town Hall. So Jay, that gives everybody an option, we can go ahead and get that advertised well ahead of time and schedule, so that it'll be open to the public meeting, but we'll be able to get, I think that'll give us a good opportunity to really get right into having a chance to look at it and then come back with the questions that we may have. On the work session, also, I think we'll add maybe one other, unless anybody's got anything super important, but we do open this all. Like to put the banner program back on there. Do you think we'll be able to have someone there that can talk to us again about this? But I think I'm seeing this, we're all seeing this at the same time here. But just hot off the press, say in the newspaper business, but this just came in the mail. So this would be a sample. We'll show it off tonight. Of how it could look, I guess one side would be like that, and then we would have so depending on which side you're looking at it, but it would give something like that. So I think it's gonna be that's a very nice looking banner, I think, very heavy duty. And so I think it's a a good program to look into. So yeah. So, more about that, huh? Sure. All right, so. Everybody feel like that would be enough to, work on for. That work session, give us plenty of time to. To discuss those matters, anything else? to Think of. All right. Let's jump right into, we'll just keep passing that thing right, all right, through, let everybody do it. We'll go to citizens comments, so. You got anyone who wants citizens comment? Let's start with, this young lady right here, say your name again for me, Elise.
Hello, my name is Arlise Green. I'd like to thank the manager for letting me come and speak today. Today, I'm speaking on, for the Small Business of Administration. I'm the public affairs specialist, and the business today is for economic injury disaster assistance. This is for the Francis Key Bridge collapse. And this program is available for businesses and nonprofit organizations. And we're coming out to let the community know that they are eligible to apply. So if you know any business, or if you are business owners or nonprofit organizations, you are eligible. It can be a home-based business to a storefront. We have great benefits with this program. There's no interest for the first 12 months, no payments due for the first 12 months, low interest rate. And the deadline for this is going to be December the 30th, 2024. And that's being because the injury is called economic injury. Let me go back. You do not have to have any physical damages. The damages comes in your lack of sale. The bridge collapse affects you indirectly or directly. It kind of trickles down. And it takes 6 months to a year before a business can notice these injuries. So I left some flyers in the back, and I left my card with the members. So if you need to contact me, if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to reach out to me. Again, I thank you for letting me come out and present this, and I hope we can be of some assistance to your community.
Appreciate that information. Anyone else? Oh, yeah.
Valentina Downing. I was so excited to see the road work. It's nice, smooth sailing going through
Fine.
until you hit Beckford Avenue. Do you know when, I got them right. Do you know when they're gonna start working on our roads?
So,
I'm waiting on a quote from Gary Bosman.
very good. So waiting on a quote from Mr. Boswell, Gary Boswell, that does the paving on a lot of those streets there. So to see what that's gonna cost, so we are moving forward on that.
All right, sounds good.
Very good. Thank you, Dan. All right.
Yes, hold on, I'm gonna read my notes. So I-
Carrie Sandwich, Main Street.
Yes, Carrie Sanders,
Put me on-
Main Street,
put me
thank
on
you,
the
sorry. The downtown beautification project is well on its way. A partnership is led by UMEF and Main Street, funded through a nationally competitive grant that was submitted by Walter Woods and the Home Depot. We were one of only 3 communities nationwide that received that award. And we have 4 paid interns who've helped to lead the project. So far, we've planted 23 planters with native plants, pollinators, and herbs. They're starting to bloom and they look beautiful. I just want to thank the town's Public Works Department and Police Department. They've been a huge help. So James and Chief, to your teams, thank you so much. The Princess Anne Volunteer Fire Department and Somerset County Sheriff's Department have also assisted, along with dozens of volunteers from UMES and from the community. We had another planting day that was scheduled last Saturday, but it was postponed because of the rain. So we'll be actually working Tuesday and Thursday this week on finishing the installation of the flower bed downtown, planting some additional planters and some other green spaces, as long as the weather cooperates. The ribbon cutting for Sisters with a Twist was April the 24th, and since opening, they've hired 3 additional staff, which is great. We've been working with Maryland Department of Transportation, State Highway to get the crosswalks that we wanted downtown. So James and the chief and Jay and Joey and some of the other people here in this room have been helping, along with Senator Carozza, and helping us navigate that process. So we are real close to getting our brick crosswalks back, which is huge. And just so everyone knows, like, no other small town in the state has won this battle with state highway yet. So we're super excited to, I don't want to call it a battle. No. No one has been able to successfully appeal, and we're really happy that it looks like we're gonna get what we wanted downtown again, which was good. Then I'll change hats a little bit. Dana Zucker couldn't be here tonight, but asked me to give a quick update on the Washington Hotel. So the restaurant is going to be called Sugar Water at the Washington Hotel. She's had 412 people apply for jobs. She's held 3 job fairs. She's already hired 6 people and is onboarding another 7 this week. The majority of hires have been from Princess Anne and Somerset County. Her liquor license was approved April the 17th. The fire inspection and health department inspections are this week. They've been doing major deep cleaning and major repairs throughout the property. About a week and a half ago, they hosted a farm tour lunch at her Sugar Water Manor property and at the hotel to meet with local farmers and watermen, and she's contracting directly with local farmers and watermen to source food and provide a really locally based menu. And her soft opening will be May 15th, so that is right around the corner. They'll be open for dinner and weekend brunches to start, but you will need a reservation. So you'll need a reservation for the first few weeks as they kind of get used to their new systems and get their staff trained and all of that sort of thing. The reservations will open next Monday. And if you're interested in receiving the information on how to register, you can sign up at sugarwater1744.com to get an update. And they won't have their official grand opening and ribbon cutting until later in June. But the 15th is right around the corner, so they're there working right now.
It's right on track with what she had said.
Yep.
Very good. Thank you, Karen, for that.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Somerset Land, you might want to get on the phone and talk to your legislators about trying to help the community out with your project and grants.
Anyone else? All right, Commissioner Johnson, let's start with you.
So with the Somerset Land, I did send over a list of contacts. I did a 2-day overnight tour with Wading the Water Lands with the MML. And we went throughout Delaware, Virginia, and Maryland the first weekend in April. I was able to get, it's over 30-some names on this list. So hopefully with that, we will be able to obtain some information and some money, because there were a lot of resources on that. And it was specifically for things that we're dealing with right here in Somerset Land. So I took a couple of days off to, even though I don't live in the neighborhood, I still care. So I took a couple of days off to get on that bus to get that information for us, and I did pass it along to Jay. So Commissioner Hayward, you're actually on the right track with saying that, because there is money available. And I was able to attend the bakery grand opening. It was a beautiful event. I still haven't tasted any of the treats, because I got caught up in talking. And the plan of promise was a success. Commissioner Hayward met us out there as well as several other community members. We had to bump it up because the tulips bloom really early. So we had to move it up a week, which was right on time. So it was a great event. We had subs in the park and it was just a good conversation, just a beautiful day. So I thank everyone for supporting that as well. And for you all that couldn't make it, thanks for the phone calls and the donations, because we did have people that donated seeds and different things for that event. But I thank everyone for that as well. And that's pretty much all I have.
I want to thank everybody for coming out. I'd like to thank the town staff, the police department, public works, town hall, everybody. Excellent job. Somerset Lane residents, including me, we all need to, we want to get the project done, so we need to stick together. So we can, so we can get it done, so we can see it through the end. I know it's a headache, I know it's gonna be a lot, a lot with it, we've done a lot so far to get, to get here. It's election time, so I want to encourage everybody to get out and exercise your right to vote. All right.
Yes, this morning, myself and Dane was in our yard talking, and a young man pulled up. And at the time, well, he went to Washington High School and he was a basketball player. And his senior year, he was the best basketball player on the team. He had a 15-year-old son now that's playing ball, and they had nowhere here in Princess Anne to play basketball. He said they took him down the courts at Greenwood Elementary, Princess Anne Elementary. Right now, we can't play basketball at Washington High School and at the Seton Center. He said they got to go clear the football at Salisbury to play basketball. I don't know if the county took these basketball rims down. I will make a trip tomorrow and find out. But the kids need somebody to play some ball right here instead of having to put the Salisbury for. So we can see what we need to do about that.
Well, our open gym will be back open at the end of this month. We had to close up the gym for the election, we started there. But I did find out that Art and Ryan, the apartments off of UMS Boulevard, they have a set of courts out there that they are allowing people to play basketball. And I went by a couple times and people are utilizing them. So it's right off of UMS Boulevard.
Yes, great in here tonight. It's an honor and privilege to be here. I'd like to thank the community for coming out for opinions about the community. Would like to start by saying I agree with former Commissioner Hayward in regards to the Somerset Landing Basin project. It would behoove the residents to get on the phone and reach out to the state legislature to acquire funding in regards to this issue, because as the attorney had mentioned earlier, we'll look for the grants. If there are none, the payments will be split up among the homeowners. That's the last thing the town would want to do. So, as Mr. Corbin has also said, in regards to the basketball courts, we're limited on funding and resources. So we need to do our due diligence to reach out to people that could potentially allocate and get the funding here. Because as I heard earlier in the meeting, some residents have said this has been on the table for the past 2 years. It has, and we haven't acquired any funding over those 2 years. I don't think we applied for any funding over those 2 years either. So it is great that we do have a few people on board now to look into areas to find this funding, but as of right now, the town hasn't found anything, and this would be a very lucrative project. I would say that it would be affordable for the collaborative efforts of the entire community together without the assistance of the state. So it is great. Hopefully the town could do our part, reaching out to state legislators as well. We will eventually acquire some funding, but as we know, the election is less than 30 days away. That's the main reason for why this has been on the agenda for the past few years. It's the only thing that I can think of that we've actually worked on over the past few years, and we haven't made any progress. If we haven't made the dialect, it's great getting people out here and potentially talking about the same things over and over again.
But we want to see the work done. We have to make the efforts to reach out to the key players and know exactly where to look and seek this funding. Because this has been on the agenda for the past 2 years. The reason is because there's an upcoming election. Strange project has been on the agenda. It's been the only thing on the agenda for the past 2 years, aside from the budget report. So with that being said, also, this marks my 10th year being elected. So I would like to encourage residents of the town to come out and vote during the selection process, because we have entrusted our elected officials to be here at the table doing the job. So now's the time to really make the vote and your voice is heard by coming out to vote every days, and hopefully we will see progress done, because this community has been experiencing this problem and dealing with it for nearly 30 years now, and something has to be done. There has to be a collaborative forum. I've been here for 10 years, and over the past 4 years now, we've had the most meetings that have had to be canceled for the lack of a forum, the lack of 3 people showing up. So during my entire 10 years here, the last thing I would like to mention for the upcoming work session meeting, if we could have the election on there as well, the upcoming election, to discuss any wrinkles that may be there with that. Because I don't know if the election committee has met yet, as of yet, but I know last month they haven't. So hopefully the town can make some sort of progress in making sure we do have fair election this time around.
Okay, thank you for all of that. I'll reiterate exactly what Mr. President Garland Haywood said, that get in touch with your elected officials is important. 2 of the grant opportunities, funding opportunities, not really grants, but funding opportunities that the town has submitted application for, or for congressionally directed funding from Congressman Harris and Congressman Van Hollen. Both of them have money at their discretion that they can give out to projects like this. Several projects on the shore have received monies in the past from them. So those are 2 that could get a few emails and phone calls, let them know that it's important. That would be, those decisions going to be made sometime here in the next month or so from them. So perfect timing for that. Garland, appreciate that encouragement there.
No, so Mr. President, I have one last.
That's all right. We've got your part.
Cut off was in regards to the Beckwood Avenue community, in which Mr. James said he was reaching out to Bosman's Pavement for a quote. If we could do a public RFP, request for proposal, to allow more than one quote to come in, because one quote may be for $80,000, another maybe for $140,000. We want to go with the best option that's feasible for the town as well. So instead of us reaching out to just one person, open it up to the public and advertise and request a proposal, so that many companies could go out and put their estimate in, and we'll see the work get done much quicker. That's it. Thank you for allowing me to speak, Mr. President.
All right. Thank you everyone for coming out. I know the project at Somerset Landing has been discussed and talked about, and we are certainly trying to continue to move forward with that. We appreciate the input. We're looking forward to having further input from the community there. Cindy has been a great help in getting that word out to people, and we appreciate all of that. Like I said before, we can't leave it all up to her to go out and try to talk these in, so we want to support on that as well. Carrie, thank you so much for your work with downtown, getting those, I think those brick side walks will make it look a lot more like it was before. Historic, nice historic look. The flower pots look awesome. And of course, you know, public works, I know James didn't mention it, but grass is growing faster than you look at it right now. So they're watching grow with all this rain and whatnot. So please make sure you're keeping your grass cut down. Don't blow it out in the streets. Make sure you're considerate of our waterways and our drainage systems that are working correctly. Try to help out there if you can. And it helps keep the town looking beautiful, but it's also a safety issue with tall grass. And, we wanna make sure those guys have a lot of grass cutting that they do, and, so we'll just encourage everyone to do their part as well on their property. Chief, just stay safe out there, man. So you guys stay safe. It's, and last thing I'll say too is in the last month, with Jay coming on, Joe Mangini, circuit rider position came on just ahead of him. But, Nye in finance, Ms. Lucille, Ms. Toya, and our front office have really come together. I feel like as a team in our front office, we have people there that know, that are working on the processes that are fair to everyone and same for everyone. Those are things that, you always heard that I got, well, it doesn't, if I went down there and asked for a question, I got a different answer than my neighbor got, those kind of things, just, and not having a continuity of staff in the office and the issues that arise when there's a lot of turnover and things. I see how much they're working together and working on things. I think you're gonna be really super pleased with things that are gonna be in place that we won't have issues with. We won't have the same problems before. Finance people not realizing they had a late fee or whatever. I mean, it's just small things that are being corrected now. And it's because we've got a good team there, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate what Nye has been able to do. Especially, and she's been there a little longer than the two J's there. But she'll get them straight and keep them going. But no, she's really doing a phenomenal job from everything I'm hearing, and I'm hearing this from accountants and auditors and people like that know whether she is or not, right? So just wanted to shout that out to everybody. I'm really happy with the way things are taken up there. So if there's nothing else, I'll make a motion to adjourn. So we're adjourned.
Yeah.